I am really excited to be here today. I've got some fun stuff to share with you, and I want to encourage you today as we play with this information and explore this information. I really want to encourage you today to just breathe, to just be with this information. I know sometimes especially when I teach teleclasses, I tend to be super heady. I love data. I love data. So I'm a scientist, right? And data is cool and good. But today I want to do it a little bit different. I want to invite us all to just listen and be present and absorb and contemplate and even feel your way through the information today rather than get your head in there and really try to grok it. It's not a grokking it kind of a webinar today. It is a webinar that is about being and being from a place being from a place in a time that's really challenging. So I'm just really honored that you're here. And we're in an extraordinary time, right? We are in a time when the weight of uncertainty is pressuring all of us. If we look at the statistics and the research studies that are coming out, the surveys of people, and how people are experiencing the world right now, we're in a place where more than two-thirds of us are feeling chronic stress, anxiety, a fear of the future, polarization, and burnout. And all of these things are sort of the background noise of our lives, right? When we're a lot of us, I don't know how it is for you. Sometimes I know that I'm trying to stay really, really busy because it's hard to be with all of that, especially for those of us who are, and that's probably all of you, who are sensitive, who are navigating the world with an open heart, right? And the world feels disrupted. So, amidst all of this stuff that's going on, a lot of us are really aware that there's an opportunity here. This is a time for us to be able to call in and a time when we're aching for really our calling, right? We want our calling. We want to know that we're here for a reason and that there is a role that we play on the planet at this time when we're looking out and going, what is happening, right? And you are here. You are here to midwife something new, something better. And that's not probably, it is why so many of us are feeling this discord and really struggling to know what to do. What do we do? And do we trust that, we're going to know what to do when it's time to do it? And so, today we're going to talk a little bit about how do we know? How do we connect? Right? We're not being asked just to survive these times. We're being called to answer something bigger than us. This isn't just a weird cycle in history. This isn't even, it's not a waiting room. We're on the threshold. And it's a threshold that is really going to invite us, encourage us, push us to do pedal to the metal. Most of us, if we're really honest, right? If we're really honest, we know what we need to do, right? We know we need to have a practice. We know we need to visualize. We know we need to keep clearing all that ancestral stuff, all those limiting beliefs. We know that, right? But it feels really hard sometimes. Feels really like, why are we doing this when we should be out here doing something? And we forget sometimes that that doing is in here first. It's not the only step. It's not the only step. And I want to really stress that because I think in our conditioning around doing, we think that if we're not doing and we're working on the inside, that that's not enough. But if we're going to create sustainable, abundant, peaceful change that's enduring, that's going to be the foundation for a world that our grandchildren and our children and our great grandchildren are going to be moving and navigating through, the change that we do, the change that we bring, has to be rooted in a high quality, a high frequency of energy. If we're not creating in here first and then taking action, whatever we're doing out here is just reactionary and oftentimes it really causes us to be stuck in a hamster wheel or a tape loop of really two sides doing the same thing but opposite to each other over and over and over again. And we're done with that. Polarization has to be done. We have to decondition our inner polarization. That's really what it means to become a quantum activist. And, this isn't about shouting louder or shouting harder, fighting harder, right? It's about starting on the inside with your thoughts, your energy, your values, your alignment, your consciousness. It's about realizing that you're sovereign. It's about not letting fear run the show. It's not letting polarization or the need to be right even run the show. It's about standing in the face of systems that we have outgrown and intentionally and deliberately dismantling them and building something new, building something better, building something that is the reflection of the evolved story of what it means to be human. So we're not going to be talking about surviving chaos, right? We're probably been doing that, right? We're going to be talking about becoming the kind of person who transforms chaos. Together, we're going to explore what it means to reclaim your authority, align with your deepest truth, and step fully into the role that you were born to play in this very important time. You are a unique and vital and irreplaceable part of the cosmic plan. You have a role to play that no one else can play. Think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute and just stand there for just a minute and really own that. You have a unique and vital and irreplaceable role that only you can play. And that role is so essential that literally the world is what it is because of you. Let's start with that as our very first idea. All right, let me get my slides going here. I have slides, but I have slides only because I know that for those of you who are visual, it helps. And I want to say, don't take notes. I said that before, but I'm saying it again. Don't take notes. I want you to just be present to the information. So just a quick confirmation. I am so blessed to have a team of people behind the scenes managing everything. So I need to check in and make sure with my team. Are my slides moving, team?
Yes, they are.
Awesome. Yay. So for those of you who I have not had the privilege of meeting yet, my name is Dr. Karen Parker. I am the founder and creator of Quantum Human Design and the Quantum Alignment System. I'm a multiple best-selling author, and I am the world's top-selling human design author. I have a PhD in integrative medicine. I've been in emotional freedom techniques and actually other energy psychology healing modalities practitioner since 2000 and even before. I've been in life, literally one of the very first life coaches trained in the world since 1998. I studied with and worked for Ra Uru Hu, the founder of Human Design. I've been teaching human design since 1999. I'm a Quantum University guest lecturer, TEDx presenter. I'm the host of the Quantum Revolution podcast, and I am an Omega Institute, the Shift Network, and a humanities team faculty member. So I am really honored to meet you. I would say there's all this stuff, right, on the official bio. Here's the other thing. I am certified woo-woo. I have definitely lived and created with one foot in the world, the metaphysical world, the world of consciousness, and one foot in the world of science all of my life. I love to be a bridge between those two because I don't think those are two separate fields. Um, I am a grandmother of three amazing, absolutely cute, to die for babies, and the mother of 8 children. So I have a pretty heavy investment in the future of the world. So I want to start today and say a lot of what I'm going to be talking about comes from one of the very first books that I ever published. The name of the book is Inside the Body of God. And I wrote this book. I don't feel like I wrote this book. I always say I wrote it because my name is on the title, but I feel like this book came through me. Oh, it's 111, 111 right now. In 2008, I unexpectedly fell pregnant at the age of 43. I will say unexpectedly because I had had my tubes tied for 10 years with probably more information than you needed to know about me. But I got pregnant, and I was at that time a full-time single parent. I did not have a co-parenting partner. I was raising my kids by myself financially and and timing wise. I was doing all the work, making the money, taking care of everybody, cooking, driving. I had 4 teenage kids at that time, and then I got pregnant. And of course, when I went and told my parents, they were like, "Don't you know how that happens?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do, but here I am, right?" And this pregnancy was extraordinarily challenging. And it wasn't just challenging because of my life situations, it was challenging because it was during a recession. And I had a woo-woo business. And I had four teenagers who ate a lot. And it was an incredibly difficult time in my life. And trying to navigate staying true to my calling and keeping everybody fed and driving and making dinner and being pregnant was a lot. It was a lot. And I was scared. I was overwhelmed. I really didn't know. I was really couldn't figure out what was the plan here, God. Like what is the strategy? What's happening? And as I really like on a repeated basis got on my knees every night saying, I help me because I don't know how I'm going to do this. The information that's in this book came to me, literally chapter by chapter. And this book is, first of all, I believe at the time I was pregnant with my daughter, who's 16 now. She's my only projector, my only biological projector child. And I'd never been pregnant with a projector before. And I keep thinking she's actually the one that wrote this book. It came through me because she so embodies everything that's in this book. Um, but it was basically a book, a chapter by chapter transmission, if you will, of the information in this book. And it was just a very sweet, short little chapters that gave me step by step information for how to navigate this really difficult time. And, I wrote this book and it was an important part of my life for a while. And honestly, I've had it back on the shelf. I haven't really thought about it for a while. I haven't really pulled it out. But I keep getting things to respond to because I'm a manifesting generator. And somebody recently said we should do a class about it, one of my team members. And my sacral just said, oh, yeah, it's time. And so I pulled it off the shelf and, really began to explore the information in there and really wanted to bring it to you because to me, right, it went to me what we're going through right now feels really similar to 2009, maybe a little bit weirder in some ways. But definitely it's that same unknown, right? We're trying to figure out what's going on and are we going to be okay and how are we going to be okay and what do we need to do? And I want to remind us all that we can absolutely choose to be okay no matter what's going on around us. And in fact, the more we choose to be okay, the more we can create a field of information, a wave of energy that makes it easier and easier for other people to also be okay during this really interesting, fascinating, evolutionary, catalytic time that we're in right now. So let's talk a little bit about where are we right now? What is going on the planet? Now, there are a lot of things that I could talk about what's going on the planet. I'm going to look at what's going up on the planet through the lens of human design. And this is going to be kind of a skippy overview of the big picture of what's up on the planet right now. So for those of you who are first line profiles who want a lot more depth, I actually did write a book about this time. It's called The Quantum Human, and that book is also available on anywhere where you buy books. So if you really are wanting more depth about this, that's out there too. But to keep it short and simple, just to sort of illuminate what's up, we're in the midst of a massive global shift. And part of what's shifting is our consciousness. Consciousness is on an evolutionary trajectory. Our consciousness or consciousness itself as an energy is always evolving. It's the nature of the cosmos to grow and evolve. And we as humans, we have that same journey, right? We start off as babies and we go through life and we leave as people who have hopefully had a long journey on the path of life and learned a lot, right? Consciousness is evolving out of what I'll call materialistic consciousness into quantum consciousness. Now, when we look at art and science, when consciousness evolves, we oftentimes first see the threads or the information of what's shifting in art and sciences. So, preceding the beginning of the shift in quantum consciousness, we were enjoying the fruits and the information we learned about in the scientific revolution. We learned about the material world and how the world works, and we learned about formulas, and we learned about logic and reasoning. And when quantum physics and if we look to art, modernism burst onto the scene in the late 1800s, early 1900s, we started to see this idea that reality is more malleable than we think. And the way in which we can regulate and create and shift the world is not through moving and pushing the mud as we do materialism in the physical world, but rather by exploring consciousness and looking at how do we think, feel, sense, and act in a way that allows us to, first and foremost, as part of the creative process, create an energetic structure, a vision, a hope, a dream, and then let the universe fill in the details. That's really what quantum consciousness is in the smallest sense. It's the embodiment of living in such a way that we let our dreams, we become stewards for our dreams. We serve our dreams. We cultivate and take care of our dreams in such a way that the dreams eventually become the infrastructure, the energetic infrastructure for what we build. And the universe, or the cosmos, or the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, fills in the details step by step by step by step, which is why when we talk about creating a revolution or becoming a quantum activist, your dream for a better future is not just frivolous, it's not just hope. It is hopeful, hopefully, but it's actually you, through your envisioning, through your dreaming, building the structure for what's next. We are the architects of that. And quantum consciousness and the evolution from materialism to quantum consciousness gives us a new understanding of our essential creative power. So the Earth itself has its own cycle of expansion measured on an annual basis where it travels around the sun in a calendar year. That's astrology, right? Or that's the calendar, depending on what culture you come from. It also has a second cycle that's much bigger and measures the gradual orientation of the Earth's axis of rotation. And this rotation completes a cycle approximately every 25,772 years. And we call this cycle the precession of the equinoxes. Now, in human design, we've broken these cycles down. So within this major Earth cycle, there are 6 epochs. Feels like we've been in a singular epoch since like November of last year, right? Or since COVID. COVID to now is like already its own epoch, but it hasn't actually technically an epoch. So within this major Earth cycle, there are 6 epochs broken into 8 smaller cycles. And these smaller cycles within the epochs last approximately 400 years. And these are called global cycles. And these bring the bigger themes for the evolution of humanity. So if you think of it this way, these 400-year-long cycles within that 25,000-year-long cycle are kind of the plot outline for the human story. They give us information, they give us a curriculum for what we need to be working on as humans to grow and evolve who we are. So in human design, that epoch, that era that we're in right now, we're at the end of a 400-year-long cycle. That 400-year-long cycle is ruled by the energy of the cross of planning or the cross of community in quantum human design. In traditional human design, we are moving in 2027 into a new theme. This isn't about your personal chart, so you don't have to go run to your chart, okay? This is about the whole big human story. So if you're like, I'm not across the sleeping phoenix or I'm across the planning, doesn't mean that you're about to come to an end or your era is about to start. This is about the story, what it means to be human. So the new era that begins in 2027 is highlighted by the energetic themes of the cross of the sleeping phoenix, bringing us some very core themes, which I'm going to unpack for you as we go through this presentation. The most important thing that I want you to really understand, that was the data part. We're done with the data part. The most important thing that I really want you to understand is that we are moving out of what I call situational creativity into activating a state of fundamental creativity. So let's talk about what does that mean. So situational creativity happens in the moment. Something happens and you're in the moment, you come up with a solution. It is oftentimes, almost always, reactive. And what that means is that it oftentimes triggers a fight or flight, stress, cortisol response, and then we react to it. And when we react to it, right, oftentimes we're acting out a pattern, a learned pattern that we've been repeating and duplicating over the course of our entire lives. Situational creativity is determined by your conditioning. It offers a short-term solution. It's finite. It comes from anything you can figure out in your head. It's not infinite. It's the result of thinking and reasoning, and it's oftentimes reasonable or what we consider to be logical, which oftentimes, by the way, when we say something's logical, it's actually not logical at all. Fundamental creativity transcends conditioning. It often shows up as an epiphany or a aha. It's a download, right? We call it a download. It comes from infinite source or life's intelligence or the cosmic field or the quantum field, whatever you want to call it. It is imaginative and possibility oriented. It aligns with cosmic order and it's often unreasonable. And this place of fundamental creativity, when we live this way, is where the new world is born. It's where innovation is born. It's where true transformation and evolution actually lives. So we are in the start right now of a creative revolution. And I personally think this creative revolution will be as powerful as the scientific revolution was in its day. And thousands of years from now, we'll be saying, oh yeah, the creative revolution started in 2027, right? And our kids or our children's children will be memorizing those dates out of a history book. So we are on the cusp of a creative revolution that promises to be as transformative as the scientific revolution was hundreds of years ago. This creative revolution is fueled by need. And we have some needs right now, right? We need to depolarize ourselves. We need to figure out how are we going to take care of every single child born onto this planet? How are we going to love each other and be compassionate with each other? How are we going to recognize our unified oneness and live and create from that place? And so when I say it's fueled by need, that need is also deeply rooted in divine imperative or consciousness. Consciousness is asking us to step up our game, to step up and own and activate our innate creative power, our fundamental creativity. But we're on the cusp of a creative revolution precisely when we're actually facing a creativity crisis. If we look at the metrics for creativity, such as the Torrance scale, which is actually a better indicator of success in life, that the Torrance scale metrics for the world have been tanking since 1990. So, we're in this place where we've got a creative revolution and people who aren't quite ready yet for the revolution, but we got to get ready. Here's the thing, and I'm saying this for you all because I suspect that many of you have felt like, oh my God, is it ever going to be my time? Am I ever going to be the one in charge? Am I ever going to be a healer, leader? It is the time right now for the healers and the creatives to begin to take their place in leadership of the world. It's your time. And I will share with you that creatives, and I'm not talking about art, although that may be part of what is your creative gift, I'm talking about people who know how to have an idea, be a steward for that idea, put energy into that idea, and evolve it, make it happen. That's a creative. And by the way, you're doing this all the time, right? You're doing this all the time, but now we get to step it up. Creatives will lead the world and build the future. Creatives know how to harness and co-create with life's intelligence, that's the divine imperative, and mine that creative flow for solutions to the challenges facing humanity today. But here's the catch. You can't see the solutions or occupy the information field that is the solution to the challenge if you don't first become the archetype of the solution. In other words, you have to be a vibrational match to the solution. If you want to create a world of peace, you have to be peace. You have to be peace. If you want abundance, you have to be abundant. If you want to create sustainability, you have to be sustainable. We literally have to become first that world that we're seeking to build. That's science. When we become that, we create resonance with the field of information on the quantum level, and that resonance causes that field of information to drop into manifested form in our lives. So here's just a different way of thinking about it. Literally at this moment, you are sitting in a field that contains an infinite number of options for your life, for our collective life, for the world. Right now, in the quantum field, there exists an earth that is peaceful, abundant, equitable, just, and sustainable. A world where every single child that is born is celebrated. And we look at every single child that is born and we approach them with curiosity and say, who are we? And we construct an entire world around their life to facilitate for them the unfolding of who they are. And we sing and we dance and we play and we feed each other and we take care of each other and we create that place, that space. We create from that heart-based place. That world exists on the quantum level. And for us to call it into manifested form, we have to become that world first. Okay. So each one of these possibilities, these options, has their own unique vibration. You align the quantum field of information with your vibrational energy. Okay. If you want something different in your life, you literally have to become the person who is vibrationally aligned with the field of information you desire. Now, that might seem obvious to some of you. Some of you have maybe been studying this forever. But the difference between knowing it and doing it, and I'm saying this so gently because I'm not trying to be harsh about this. I am saying it's pedal to the metal time, you guys. We can know it, but we have to do it. And I want to gently ask you, are you being the person you need to be in order to call in that world? And that's hard. And we can do it. And we can do it. But it means that we have to decondition our narrative. So let's talk about understanding human design through a quantum revolutionary lens. When we talk about creativity, or we can use the word manifest if you want, okay? And you know, I just want to say something popped up in the chat, and I want to address this really quickly because it's important. No, you don't have to be perfect. Oh my God, we'll never be perfect, right? We don't have to be perfect. We just have to have a critical mass. I would say if we think about the creative process and think about it through the lens of the emotional solar plexus, because that's where the alignment takes place. The emotional solar plexus fluctuates in waves. And I think so many times we think we have to get it perfect. No, you just have to have a baseline frequency that aligns with the possibility. Are you going to have bad days? Sure. Are you going to have great days? Sure. Are you going to be all over the place sometimes? Absolutely. The variation isn't as important as the baseline. So we have to have a baseline frequency, right? Of calling in that energy. Now, when we talk about manifesting or creating and expediting or speeding up the creative process, we always want to speed it up, right? At least I do, right? Um, One of the biggest things that gets in our way is not telling a story that is aligned with our full potential and our authentic identity. When we are trying to be someone we're not, when we're trying to hold up that mask and fulfill the expectations that we've internalized about who we should be or how we should be, or when we get caught up in the details of, I could be this way, or I could have this thing, but in order for me to have this thing, I have to have this, and this, right? We start to give ourselves this laundry list of the things we have to take care of. I call that band-aid manifesting, right? When we start to think we've got to figure out all the details, when we are not purely being our authentic self, then we are not living true to our quantum potential. Because what'll happen is our story will be wobbly. Our lovability will oftentimes be challenged. Our self-worth will oftentimes be challenged. And when our lovability and our self-worth are not operating at the highest level, it will impact what we call in, because we're only going to allow ourselves to receive to the degree to which we believe we deserve it, to the degree to which we believe we can allow it. And our identity, our story is a big part of what defines what we're willing to allow or what we think we deserve we can receive. So a couple of you are saying, what if I have this open or defined? We're not talking about personal charts. We all have a will center and a G center. You'll have all of the chart. Our unique configuration will tell us a lot about our unique soul curriculum, what we need to learn in this lifetime to activate our infinite lovability, to activate our self-worth. But all of us are designed to have high self-worth and a high sense of lovability. And that is the work, really, that's in front of us right now, is how do we become the highest expression of love? And from that highest expression of love, use the power of love to empower ourselves to create a new set of value, and from a new place of value or a new understanding or a new expression of what is truly valuable in life. Okay. The key to reclaiming that authentic identity, that quantum self, and when we live from that quantum self, I'm telling you, is like grease lightning in the manifesting process, right? When we create from that quantum self, when we sit in that identity of our infinite power, our infinite lovability, our manifesting capacity, our creative capacity goes up exponentially. But to get there, we have to decondition first. So in quantum human design, we talk about 5 kinds of conditioning, which is a little bit different than what is taught in traditional human design. So when we are looking at the 5 kinds of conditioning, we have openness by center, imprinting, generational energy patterns, genetics, and life experiences. So I'm going to go through these relatively quickly because you've probably heard at least some of them before. But here's what I want you to do for just a minute. I want you to look at your chart. Now we are going to look at your chart. I want you to look at your chart and I want you to just notice or write down what centers do you have open. When we talk about open centers, we're talking about anything that's white on your chart. So you have 9 energy centers. Each one of these centers is responsible for processing 9 different core archetypal themes or different kinds of energies. When we're not operating in an optimal way with the unique way that our chart is configured, it creates predictable behavioral patterns and mistaken motivations in our relationships. Remember that whatever we have open is where we're receiving energy and information from the outside world and we're taking it in, and we're not just taking it in, we're amplifying it. So wherever you have openness is where you're amplifying energy. And whatever's colored in, that's energy that is part of your gift to the world, and it contains your soul curriculum, what you're here to learn. So here's a different way of thinking about your centers. Any of your centers that you have open, you are here over the course of your life. So you don't have to get it perfect. It's a journey. And there's no perfection, because if you were perfect, then the journey would be over. And you don't want the journey to be over because it's a cool journey. You want to just keep growing into that. So anything that you have open in your chart, you are here to self-regulate. Learn how to self-regulate. In other words, you are learn to hold your own frequency in these centers no matter what's going on around you. So take a moment and think about, how do you need to regulate, self-regulate these centers? And we'll go through these in just a minute. Anything that's colored in or defined, those are parts of yourself that you are here to learn to love and accept. Okay? You are here to learn and love and accept these parts of yourself. That doesn't mean, by the way, that you accept the crappy expression of these centers or the shadow expressions. It means you love the shadow expression and you consciously evolve it, right? You consciously evolve it, because we're not a victim of our charts ever. So we're going to make a quick, brief run through the open centers just for you to think about, because traditionally when we talk about conditioning, we talk about open centers. So I have to do this part because I like this part. But I want to talk about some other things too. So when we have an open head center, we tend to be under pressure to figure things out. And oftentimes the thing we're trying to figure out is an inspiration or a question that we picked up energetically from someone else's aura. Number 2, the Ajna Center. The Ajna is where we do concrete thinking. It's where we translate inspiration into ideas. It's also where we hold some of our beliefs. And so when the Ajna is open, we are oftentimes making decisions based on a desire for certainty. We are struggling oftentimes to be certain. And that desire for certainty oftentimes causes us to double down and be 3 times as certain about something as somebody else. And inside, we're actually not really that certain at all. We're just pretending. The throat center, when the throat center is open, and this is actually also true when it's non-motorized. So an easier way of thinking about this is, if you're a generator, projector, or reflector, or an alchemist, orchestrator, calibrator, part of your life theme has probably been about trying to get attention, trying to get recognition, because you need attention and recognition to activate your energy. And you may have even tied your lovability and your self-worth to feeling seen and heard. When your G center is open, there is a tendency to question your lovability. When it's defined, by the way, there's a tendency to question whether you can be accepted for who you are. When the will center is open, there's a tendency to make decisions based on a need to prove your value. You're inherently valuable because you exist. You don't have anything to prove. But oftentimes we make decisions or we make big life choices based on, oh, people will perceive me as valuable if I do this, right? We all do it. The spleen center, when it is open, is a tendency to hold on to things for longer than you should, especially because there's fear here. And so we try to gather to ourselves all the things that we think we might possibly need one day, just in case, right? And that oftentimes also means not just stuff, but relationships, relationship patterns, outdated circumstances. We don't really need to, we don't let go when the spleen is open sometimes. When the emotional solar plexus is open, we are emotional empaths. It's not the only place where you can be an empath in the chart, by the way. But what will happen oftentimes if you're an emotional empath is you will be afraid to deal with truth and consequences. You don't want to have difficult conversations. So there's a tendency to not ask for what you want, and sometimes a pattern of pleasing everybody else as a way of trying to regulate the emotional environment in the room. The sacral, when it's open, has a tendency to not know when enough is enough. And so you push and push and push and push until you burn yourself out. These are the shadow themes, by the way. These all have high themes too, but for now, we'll just talk about the shadow themes. And the root center is a pressure center. And when it's under pressure, it's trying to get everything done so it can be free, but you're never free because that to-do list never stops churning because there's always something else. And so you have to learn how to do what you want, follow the bliss, follow the joy, even if you have something else you think you should be doing, right? The second source of conditioning is our imprinting. We are imprinted from our families of origin. Our parents' behavioral patterns and their beliefs become part of our nervous system. We are literally imprinted by what we see, what we witness, what the environment within which we grow up. The third place where we become conditioned is with generational energy patterns. You actually inherit your human design from your grandparents. And your children, if you're fortunate enough to have children, inherit their design from your parents. So you can start to see there's this every other generational energy pattern playing out that creates intergenerational family energy dynamics, right? Go run your parents' charts and your children's charts. Your mind will be permanently blown. Last but not, well, not last, but another way in which we're conditioned is from our genetics and our epigenetics. Whether we like it or not, some of our reactions to life are rooted in our ancestral lineage. The protein codes that regulate your DNA, how your DNA gets turned on and turned off, carry within them information that can hold up to 14 generations of memories from your ancestors. And right now, when we go back to those global cycles, the biggest task in front of us in the big human story is for us to clear up our ancestral stories, to stop living from outdated ancient traumas and ancient agreements that we made that don't serve the future of the human story. Okay? And then last but not least, I don't know why we don't talk about this in traditional human design, but there's no way that we can avoid this. Your lived experiences are part of your conditioning, the things that happen to you, the memories you hold, the emotional artifacts of your experiences, the good and the bad. We carry that in us on the fascia, in our cells. We become part of our lived experiences. They get integrated into the narrative we tell about who we are and how we are. Okay, deep breath. You just learned a lot about what has cultivated and created the story of who you think you are. Your job over the story of your life is to go from being this person who you were told you should be, this person who integrated all those expectations from your family, from society, this person who's carrying all this ancestral memory, to go from this and have all kinds of life adventures. And over the course of those life adventures, reclaim your creative power, remember who you really are, and leave the world and all the parts of your story in the highest, fullest, most authentic expression possible. That's your job. That's your job, is to take your story and absolutely fulfill it to its infinite potential. So, in the Inside the Body of God book, the very first thing that dropped in my receiving this transmission was information about 13 key disciplines. So, I'm going to read the disciplines to you off the slides, and then I'm going to go into depth and explore three of them a little bit more deeply. Um, and I'll tell you next Tuesday, if you're signed up for our newsletters, which you probably should be, you will be if you're not. Next Tuesday, I'm going to send out a written version of this, and I'll go into more detail in all the about all the 13 key disciplines. So the 13 key disciplines are: release that which no longer serves you. I'll talk about more about that in a minute. Number 2, let go of your past. Number 3, stay out of doubt. Number 4, use fear as leverage. Number 5, diligently tend to your vibration. Number 6, remember who you are and why you're here. Number 7, this one's interesting, so hard for some reason. Ask for what you really want. Don't go for the band-aid solutions, right? Pray for your evolution every day. Practice, practice, practice. Create community. That's actually one of our assignments at the end of this global cycle. We have been instructed by the planetary curriculum to be in community with each other. Community is our greatest resource, literally. Number 11, be honest and authentic. Stop hiding out. Number 12, let go of the ropes. Have faith, right? And number 13, be deliberate and remember choice. So let's talk for just a minute about release that which no longer serves you. Now, this one's pretty easy. If your hands are full, right? If you're holding on to all this stuff and your hands are full, you don't have any room for something bigger and better. And oftentimes, when we are conditioned to, hold on to things, and maybe we're conditioned to, in lack consciousness, or if the things that we're holding on to are things that we've settled for, that we've compromised for, right? That when we are settling for less than and we're letting that hold space in our lives, we run out of room for something new. And so we have to release what no longer serves us, even though sometimes it's scary, right? It's scary. But when we do, we create space. And that space creates an opportunity for us to actually call in what we really want. The second one, is that right? Yeah. Remember who you are and why you are here. That's our quantum selves, right? The ego self that's here to serve the higher self. The will center is the ego self. The G center is the higher self. Your personal self is here to serve a higher calling. And that is what, your purpose, and to remember that and root yourself in that. Your purpose in life is to be you. And this is the beauty of traditional human design. When we start to forget, our body is an oracle. Your body's going to let you know if you start to forget who you really are, unless you've numbed your body out. And then the very first thing we have to do is get your body back online. That's why I wrote my new book, which is for sale. It's for pre-sale. You can't get it yet. It's called Quantum Wellness, and it outlines how to reconnect with the body so that you can use your body as an oracle. I want to bring you an information that I just learned recently that I'm just so in love with. Before Maslow of Maslow's hierarchy fame, before he died, he added a new top tier in his Maslow's hierarchy of human needs triangle. So he added a top tier called self-transcendence. So on the top of self-actualization, which usually is what we're taught in school, he at the very end of his life, he added self-transcendence. Well, self-transcendence is creating and moving through the world with a sense of meaning and purpose, living from your divine calling. And one of the things that he said, and he did research on, was that actually people can take quantum leaps over the bottom tiers of the pyramid if they know their purpose and their calling. If you know your purpose and your calling, it can call you forward and give you whatever you need to be resilient, to make it through whatever challenge you have, because that calling becomes so important. It gives you the power to transcend your daily circumstances and create from that divine, that quantum human place. last but not least is a third of the third of the 13 principles. I'll just flesh out a wee bit more for you today. Use fear as leverage. I like to say that fear is the quiet architect of small dreams, right? When we let fear run the show, we have to understand fear. There's two fears. There's real fear, and real fear is important. Real fear keeps you from getting eaten by a bear, right? And then there's, I'll call it fake fear, existential fear, and that's the fear that's actually resistance, right? It's actually resistance that is rooted in a desire to stay safe existentially, to protect and hide our authentic self, right? And when we hit that resistance, that limiting fear, it's such a great opportunity to blast out of our old story. So I'm going to give you two questions, and I'm hoping, Teresa or whoever's running the chat, if you can transcribe these questions and put them in the chat for me, that would be so awesome. I'll try to talk slowly. The question, if you encounter resistance, here's a question number one. Am I intending what I truly want? Or am I intending what I think I should want? Okay. In other words, are you actually going for what you want? Because if you're really asking for what you want and it's aligned with your calling, nothing will stop you. If you're letting fear, existential fear, stop you, it's probably because you're not going for what you really want. The second question is, do I have beliefs that are keeping me from allowing myself to know that I can have exactly what I want? Do I have beliefs that are keeping me from allowing myself to know that I can have exactly what I want? Good job, Hannah. You're fast. Right? So when we let fear win, we become the architect of small dreams. When we learn how to leverage fear, right? Then we bust through and we can really become the architect of our big dreams. Oh, there's one more. Be deliberate and take back control of what you choose. There is a space. This comes from Viktor Frankl's work. There is a space between stimulus and response. When we are creating situationally, when we get a stimulus, we react and we get stuck in the tape loop of acting out the same pattern again and again and again. When we take back control over that space, which means we decondition our story, we become our authentic selves, then what we are able to do is we are able to take back control over that space between stimulus and response. We are self-regulated and intentional. And from that place, we become fundamentally creative, and we have control to create, at the very least, our own response to our outer circumstances. We might not always be able to change the outer circumstances in the moment, but you certainly can take back control over what you choose, how you choose to experience something. And the more we take back control, the more we become sovereign over that space between stimulus and response, the more our outer reality begins to reflect that new energy, that new intentionality, and your world will shift. So I am not an astrologer. There are some brilliant astrologers on this call that I know are here, including Rebecca Hansen. And I will tell you that right now we're in a new era, lots of new eras this year, lots of big planets making big sign changes in signs. But as we're speaking of this, Neptune just moved into Aries. So we are in a time of action or reaction. And the root of good, intentional, clear, aligned, creative action is conviction. And conviction happens when we're connected to our calling and our purpose. All right? When we're connected to our calling and our purpose. Real change begins within. Quantum activism is the practice of transforming the world by transforming your frequency first. It's not about resisting the old, but rather embodying becoming the new, and your personal shifts ripple through the field. This is an invitation for you all to be the revolution from the inside out. Now, I'm going to share with you an opportunity. This is my sales pitch, so I want you all to know that I am going to tell you about an opportunity that you can invest in. I want to ask you to please stay with me, because when I'm done with this, I have an activation that I want to do with you. So I'm going to teach you how to actually shift your story throughout the timeline. We're going to look at past you, present you, new you, and we're going to work with a heart activation that I want to bring you. So please hang with me because this is a great opportunity, and don't want you to miss the heart activation afterwards. So, as I said, not all revolutions are loud, and some of them begin in silence, and some of them begin with intention, and they all start with you. Revolutions start with you. If you are ready for a brand new, entirely updated version of the Inside the Body of God program. Now, I've actually never taught this as a program other than just to kind of summarize the book. I've actually created a brand new program that literally integrates pretty much everything I've ever taught in human design. We're going to talk about intuition, angels, spirit guides, meditation practices, all through the lens of human design. We're going to talk about emotional alignment, frequencies. We're going to dive deep into the 13 principles. We're going to work with this book. This is an integrated program that's not just learning data from a video. You're going to have activations, and you're going to have exercises. You're going to have live calls with me where we're going to do transmissions and explorations. We're going to do energetic work. You're going to learn to shift your reality, to move beyond limitations, to effortlessly attract and create what you want, not just for you, but for all of us. You're going to activate abundance and recognize abundance as your natural state and how to activate that natural state. You're going to learn to connect deeply and use communication between, psychically between other people and also with unseen supportive energetic sources. You're going to gain unshakable clarity, deep peace and confidence, sustained abundance. You're going to learn how to deepen your relationships. You're going to build an authentic leadership for yourself so that you can have the impact that you've been longing to have with your story, with who you are, and deep transformative inner growth. On a more practical level, you're going to decrease your stress and anxiety. You're going to figure out how to navigate the future without fear. You're going to learn how to find what is trustworthy and how to navigate from a place of self trust and ultimately build a bridge of trust with the world around you. You're going to work on healing your burnout. You're going to find your calling and learn how to activate it and learn how to create well being in every area of your life. So, this is comprehensive 14 self study lessons plus four live interactive calls. This is literally the only program that I teach that's an essential course that's not a professional course, it's an essential course that teaches you how to integrate quantum human design into every area of your creative life. You're going to get daily practices and exercises, a year-long access to the program, and of course, to me, this is the best part, a community of like-minded individuals. You're going to get to actually hang out with people doing this work. So I have my best friend, one of my dearest friend passed away about 12 years ago now. He used to always tell me, Karen, don't be an eagle in a chicken coop. I love chickens, so I thought that was maybe not so bad to be in the chicken coop. But he also used to remind me that we use our creative capacity sometimes to build chicken coops, and we're like, there, done, I did it. And we get satisfied with the chicken coop. But within all of us is the capacity actually to build a cathedral or more, to build a world of equitable, just, sustainable peace. Do you want to build a chicken coop or do you want to build a cathedral? You get to decide. So I encourage you to choose the temple, right? Choose the cathedral. Oh, wait, I think, did I go backwards? Yeah. And then, of course, to do that, you have to remember who you are and why you're here. All right. Let's take a deep breath. I want to clear the palate. I am going to run probably about 2 minutes over, and I apologize for that. So I do want to just let you know if you have to go. And if you do have to go, we will post the replay. And even if you don't have to go and you hear this heart activation and you enjoy it, you can come back and listen to it whenever you want and really use this as a time to connect with your heart. So when you're ready to just take a deep, long breath for a moment. And just take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. We've covered a lot of material, and I want to create a really good pause between where we've been and where we are right now. I want you to be present. And I want you to just take a moment and literally put your hands over your heart and feel the beat of your heart in the palm of your hand. And take a moment and just, if you can, imagine you can breathe through your heart. So take a deep breath in and breathe out through your heart. Take a deep breath in and just breathe out through your heart. Let's use our hearts to help us move into a new identity. So we're going to play with the timelines because there really isn't a timeline. We're going to play with our new story, right? We're going to play with the story because we know that we can't change things we hate. That appreciation and gratitude and love are the currency of transformation. We create change when we love something, not when we hate it. So let's go back to the heart and just breathe in and breathe out into the heart. That heart, your memories are stored in your heart. Your identity is stored in your heart. Your heart actually has more nervous connections to the brain than the brain does to the heart. It actually literally has its own intelligence. And we know from human design that your ability to determine your direction lies in your heart, and it's rooted in love. Your power is rooted in love. So again, let's go back and breathe through the heart. And I want you to, as you're breathing through this heart, just focus on positive thoughts for a moment. Think about a beautiful or meaningful photograph, music, something in your life that you really love, that you're just really grateful for. So just think about that for a minute. Just soften your focus and just breathe in and out through your heart and think about this thing in your life that you love so much, that brings you so much joy. And now I want you to take a moment and think about who you were in the past. Pick a moment in time, maybe where there was a past you, and that past you maybe was struggling a little bit. Maybe you were in the middle of a reactive cycle. Maybe something was happening to you that wasn't really the fulfillment of your potential. And I want you to just take a moment and see past you in your mind's eye. Just see yourself. And when you're ready, I want you to, with the power of your heart, send love to past you. Just send love to past you. And take a moment and just really appreciate past you. Just notice all the things you decided, all the things you created, all the things you chose. Just notice what you did to experience, survive, learn, and endure. And just appreciate past you. Express your gratitude to that person for that was you in the past. Just shower past you with love. And now I want you to notice where you are right now. It's current you. Current you is here listening to this. Current you is here consciously choosing to evolve and grow. Good job, current you. Send love and power to current you. Really take a moment and send love to yourself for all the things that you are choosing and deciding and experiencing and surviving and learning and enduring. And just express your gratitude to you. Express your gratitude to the you is holding the intention of your soul in this present moment. Just really love yourself here for a second. You're doing all those things. Okay, another nice long deep breath. And I want you to take a moment and envision future you. See the you who has become the you who is embodying the energy of the world we're moving into. See the you that is sustainable, abundant, peaceful, powerful, impactful, loving. And just take a moment and send love and power to future you. Really see yourself choosing and deciding to do all that you imagine yourself doing, all that you imagine yourself experiencing, all the ways in which you're thriving, learning, and enduring. And just send gratitude to future you. Send gratitude to future you who's holding the intention of your soul for the future. And just call that in for a minute. And I want you to close your eyes now and take another nice, long, deep breath. And I'm going to say some statements, and I want you to, wherever you are right now, repeat these statements out loud with me. So repeat after me. There is a part of your being let's start over. Deep breath. There is a part of my being who already knows how to be the future you, who is so deeply, profoundly, and infinitely rooted in love and your natural creative power. That part of you is willing to inform the rest of you now. It is doing so now with grace and ease. My mind, body, and spirit are receiving this information with gratitude. Take a nice long deep breath. This information transfer is now complete. Let's do that one more time. There is a part of my being who already knows exactly how to be the future you, who is rooted so profoundly, deeply, and infinitely in love and your natural creative power. That part of my being is willing to inform the rest of me now. It is doing so now with grace and ease. My mind, body, and spirit are receiving this information with gratitude. This information transfer is now complete. So I hope when this is over today, when we log off, you'll take some time to write down any observations that you may have had and think about that future you. Send love to that future you every day. That is the you that is building the world. That is the you that is creating the future that we all are feeling, sensing, knowing, are feeling called toward. You are a powerful creator. I want you to remember your creative power. You deserve it. And you deserve so much. All right. You all take good care of yourselves. And I hope I see you sometime soon. Be well. Hang in there.